Okay, hello everyone. My name is Muhammad Akmal Rais, and I'm from class EF 0506, and my name is 108072500142. Okay, here I will conduct an interview with an extraordinary resource person, namely Fikron, a full stack developer. Hi Fikron, how are you?
Hello, Akmal. I'm good. I'm good. So, okay, let me introduce myself. I am Muhammad Amin. I am a full stack web developer with 4 years of experience, and currently I'm working in Surabaya in one of software house. And beside that, I'm also a freelancer, accepting local projects to earn money. Yeah.
Okay. Hi Fikron. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today. I've been following your journey as a full stack web developer, and I'm really excited to learn from your experience in the industry. I'd love to dive into some questions about your professional path. Okay, I giving my question for you. The first one, in providing web development and business consulting service, how do you position your agency within today's competitive market?
Uh, okay. Thank you for your question. Actually, I don't really try to compete with big agencies on price or size. Instead, I focus on being a developer that clients can easily talk to. Many small businesses I work with had bad experience, like developers disappear after the projects, and or use too much technical language. So I try to keep things simple. I communicate clearly, give honest timelines, and build what really fits the business needs. Since I work alone, my reputation is very important. That's how I position myself in the market. That's it.
Okay, thank you for the questions. And next question is, speaking of programming, how do you ensure your technical skills remain relevant and up to date with current industry trends?
Ah, nice question. So I try to learn new things in two ways. Like first one is I read articles, watching YouTubes, and follow some dev communities. You can find it many ways, like in social media, Instagram or Discord.
Yes.
And the second, I built a small projects to try the new tools myself. Because reading or watching is not enough. I also listen to what my client actually needs, what my clients ask for, because they tell me to what actually the market really needs. So I don't try to learn every new technology. So actually it's impossible, but I make sure I know enough so I can choose the right tool for each project. That's it.
Okay, thank you for your answer. And my third questions, how was the experience of interacting directly with various types of clients shape your professional mindset today?
Yeah, working directly with all kinds of clients, small business owners, to startup founders, to people who barely use computers. Like they don't use technology so much. They don't understand technology. So from them I learned a lot. At first I thought my job was write the code, but actually my real job is to solve people problems, solve their problems. Code is just one of the tools. So I also learned to listen more, ask better questions, and explain technical things in simpler way. And it made me more passionate too, because not everyone thinks the same way I do. Yeah, that's all.
Okay, good answer. And my fourth questions. As someone accustomed to tight deadlines, what kind of work system do you implement to stay disciplined and avoid procrastination?
Yeah. Okay, so my system is quite simple. Every Monday, I plan my week and write down what I need to do each day. Then I use time blocking. So I know what I'm working on at every hour. I also set deadlines for myself, not only from the client, because without deadlines, it's easy to delay things. One trick that really helped me is doing the hardest task first in the morning. After that, the rest of the day feels lighter. And when I feel lazy or stuck, usually it means the task is too big or not clear. So I just break it to smaller things and until it feels easy to start. Yes, so that's it.
Okay, thank you. And my last questions. As a professional, time management is key. How do you balance client project demands with your personal life while living away from home?
Yeah, this question is good. Yeah, living away from home is not easy because I don't have family around me, so I had to learn to manage time as well. I usually work in focused hours during the day, and I try not to work at night. And I also tell my clients when I'm available, so they don't expect me to available 24 hours in a day. Sometimes on the weekend, I try to do something that not related to the work, like meeting friends, calling my family, exercising. And if I don't rest, I can get tired easily and it will make my work become worse. So for me, balance is really important. Yeah.
Okay, thanks your answer, Fikron. That was really insightful. Thank you so much, Fikron, for
Yeah.
sharing your thoughts and experience with me today. I
You're
truly
welcome.
appreciate your time and the perspective you provided. Good luck with all your upcoming projects.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Fikron.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. Before we start the podcast, let us introduce ourselves. My name is Danu Kiki Satria, and my friends on my left side.
My name is Muhammad Akmal Rais.
My name is Muhammad Andrean Saputra.
And my right side.
My name is Dzaky.
My name is Bukhori, Fahry Akbar.
And I am Rafi Mahendra. So hello everyone and welcome to our podcast. Today we have a special topic. We are going to talk about our culture, but not in a general way. We will look at the real experience of a freelance developer. His name is Fahry. One of us, Akmal, did a real interview with him. So Akmal, can you tell us a little bit about who is Fahry and how the interview went?
Okay, sure. Fahry is a freelance web developer who works entirely on his own. No agency, no employer behind him. Over time, he has built a solid reputation by focusing on what clients actually value, trust, clarity, and results. I had the opportunity to sit down and interview him, asking 5 key questions that cover how he positions himself in the market, how he keeps his skills up to date, and how he manages his personal life while living away from family, how his clients have shaped his mindset, and finally, how he maintains discipline and avoids procrastination. His answer gave me a lot to think about, and I'm really glad we can discuss them together today.
Oh, that sounds really interesting. I have always curious about what the daily life of freelance developer actually looks like. Like how do you stay on track when there is no one checking on you? I think Fahry's experience is going to give us some useful lesson.
I agree, and I think the timing could be more relevant for us as students who are preparing to enter the workforce. Understanding how someone builds their own professional structure from the ground up without company framework to rely on is something we can genuinely apply regardless of whether we end up working as freelancer or in a more traditional setting.
Right, and the fact that he is living away from home make it even more interesting. It is not just about how he works, it is about how he manages his whole life. I'm curious to hear how he deals with that.
Okay, I think we all ready. Akmal, let's go to the first topic.
Okay, the first question I asked Fikron was about market positioning because the tech industry is incredibly competitive. There are large agencies, affordable offshore teams, and thousands of freelance are competing for the same projects. So, how does a solo developer actually stand out? His answer was clear and refreshingly honest. He does not try to compete on price or team size at all. Instead, his strategy is to be a developer that clients can easily and comfortably talk to. He mentioned that many small business he works with had frustrating experience before with developers who disappeared after the project was done or who use so much technical language that clients felt confused and left out. Fikron's approach is the complete opposite: clear communication, honest timelines, and building only what genuinely fits the client's business, not what looks impressive from a technical standpoint.
Okay, that's a really smart and sustainable strategy. If you want to try to compete with a large agency based on budget or resources, you will almost always lose. But if you compete on the quality of your communication and trust you build with the clients, the playing field becomes much more level. Because interestingly, many bigger agencies actually struggle with that.
Nah, that is true. I think many people in tech believe the work speaks for itself. But Fikron is saying the relationship matters just as much. Clients do not only remember what you do, they also remember how it felt to work with you. Were you easy to contact? Did you explain things clearly? Did you what? Did you do what you promised? That experience is part of the product too.
His emphasis on reputation is also particularly significant given his situation as solo freelancer. For a company, one failed project can be absorbed by many other successful ones. The impact is diluted. But for Fikron, working alone, his reputation is everything. One serious mistake or one broken promise could genuinely damage one of potential work. That level of personal accountability, while challenging, also creates a very strong motivation to always deliver with integrity.
And I think the lesson here is that competitive advantage doesn't always mean something expensive or technical. Sometimes it is just about being reliable, showing up on time, being honest when there is a problem, and explaining difficult things in a way that is easy to understand. Those things sound simple, but not everyone can do them consistently.
What I found compelling about his approach is that it scales. Even if Fikron eventually grows his business and builds a team, those core values, clear communication, honesty, and putting the client's actual needs first, will still form a foundation. It is not a short-term marketing tactic, it is a professional philosophy. And philosophies, when genuinely lived out, tend to outlast any tactic.
Exactly. So the main point from this part of the interview is you do not need a lot of resources to stand out. Being honest, communicative, and reliable is often more than enough. And in the world of tech, those qualities are rare enough to actually be a strong competitive advantage. Okay, the second question was about keeping technical skills relevant, which is a real challenge in the tech industry, where new frameworks, tools, and language appear constantly. Fikron approached this in a structured way. First, he reads articles and follow developer communities to stay informed about what is emerging in the field, but he was very clear that reading alone is not sufficient. So, second, he builds small personal projects to actually try new tools himself because real understanding comes from doing and not just observing. And the third element, which I found particularly insightful, is that he listens carefully to what his client asks for, because the requests are a direct signal of what the market currently needs. His learning is therefore demand-driven rather than simply curiosity-driven.
That demand-driven idea is really clever. I think many of us fall into the trap of learning whatever is trending online. But Fikron filters his learning based on what his clients actually need right now. That makes his learning more focused and directly useful for his work.
the build yourself part is also something I really to connect with. You can read all the documentation on the Google and watch many tutorial on YouTube, but until you actually try to do something and deal with the real errors and problem that come up from your project, you do not truly understand the tool. Hands-on practice cannot be replaced, so you always try.
That principle aligns closely with what researchers in education call learning by doing. Passive consumption, simply reading and watching, only produces surface level understanding. It is thought active application, where you are forced to solve real problems and troubleshoot unexpected error that deeper knowledge actual forms. Fachruddin seems to have arrived at this understanding through his own experience, which arguably makes it even more firmly embedded in his practice.
I also really appreciate that he said he does not try to learn everything. There is a lot of pressure in the tech world to know every new language or framework. That pressure can feel very stressful. Fachruddin's mindset is healthier. He focused on knowing enough to choose the right tool for each project. Not an expert in everything, but smart about what he picks up and when.
There is also a physiological benefit to the acceptance. Once you let go of the expectation that you must master every emerging technology, you stop feeling guilty about the gaps in your knowledge. You can then invest your energy more wisely, developing genuine depth in the area that matter most for your actual work, rather than spreading yourself tiny across everything the industry produces.
Right, and this principle goes beyond just that as well. In any field, the key is to stay curious, practice with your hands, and let real work needs with what you practice. That is a learning approach that works for anyone. Okay, the third topic become quite personal during the interview. I asked Fachruddin how he managed the balance between client work and his personal life, especially because he lives away from home and does not have family nearby. He was remarkably honest about the difficulty of that situation. His approach involves working in focus blocks during the day and making a deliberate effort not to work at night. He also communicates clearly with clients about when he is available, so they do not expect him to be reachable around the clock. On weekends, he disconnects, fully exercising, spending time with friends and calling his family. And he said something simple but deeply practical. When he does not rest, his work get noticeably worse. For Fachruddin, rest is therefore not a reward for finishing tasks. It is a requirement for performing teamwork.
That is so important, and it is something that gets ignored a lot. Many people are told to work harder, sleep less, and always be available. But Fachruddin is saying from real experience that rest actually makes you work better. Your brain needs time to recover. When you stop and rest, your creativity and focus come back stronger. That is not laziness. That is a smart and sustainable way to work.
Okay, the point about communicating is availability to client is also a sign of professional maturity. Many people, especially those who are new to freelance scene, feel that they need to be available at all times to avoid losing clients. But the opposite is often true. When you set clear expectations upfront, clients actually trust you more because they know exactly what to expect. Reliable boundaries are far more professional than value. 24% availability that leads to poor quality responses.
I also want to talk about the emotional side of this. Fachruddin lives away from his family, and that is genuinely hard. The way he handles it, keeping a daily routine, building friendship where he lives, staying connected to family through regular calls, show real self-awareness. He is not managing his schedule. He is taking care of himself as a complete person, not just a worker.
That observation highlights something important. Work culture is not solely about office habits or productivity system. It encompasses your entire lifestyle, where you live, the quality of your relationship, how effectively you recover from mental and physical effort. Frequent seem to genuinely understand that the personal and professional dimensions of life are deeply interconnected, and he managed both with equal intention.
Yeah, this is very relevant. I mean, for us, for students who will enter the workforce soon, nobody will set boundaries for you. You have to do it yourself. If you don't build those habits early, it is easy to burn out before you even realize what is happening. Fikron is I think it's a good example of someone who figured this out at the right time.
Exactly. The key word here is intentional. Balance does not just happen on its own. You have to build it on purpose, set your working hours, communicate your limits clearly, and protect your time to rest. Because if you do not, no one else will do it for you. Okay, the fourth topic is the ones I personally found most compelling. I asked Fikron how years of working with so many different kinds of clients have shaped the way he thinks about his work. His response was genuinely insightful. He said that when he first started out, he believed his job was simply to write code. But over time, through working with small business owners, startup founders, and people with little no technical background, he came to understand that his real job is to solve problems, and that code is just one of the tools available to do that. He also learned to listen more carefully, ask better and more useful questions, and explain technical concepts in language that non-technical people can actually understand. And somewhat unexpectedly, it also made him a more patient person. Because the experience of working with so many different types of thinkers taught him that not everyone sees the world the way he does.
That shift from thinking I wrote code to thinking I solve problems is a fundamentally important reframe, and one that many technically skilled people genuinely struggle to make. When you are trained as a developer, your instinct is to think in terms of systems, logic, and implementation. But most clients are not thinking about any of that. They have a business problem and they need it resolved. Fikron realized that his professional value lies not in the technical elegance of his code, but in the real world outcome that code creates for the people he serves.
Okay. The communication point is also stand out to me. Being able to explain the technical things in a simple language is a real skill that many people in tech do not develop. If you can only talk to other experts, you have a very limited audience. But if you can explain complex ideas clearly to anyone, you become much more valuable, both to your client and your career overall.
And the passion that he mentioned, I think that is something that is easy to underestimate. Working with people who do not share your background or way of thinking requires real empathy. You cannot get frustrated when someone asks a question that seems obvious to you, because from their perspective it is not obvious at all. It sounds like Fikron's developed that empathy through experience, and it has made him much easier to work with.
What struck me most is the source of that growth, not from education, not only course, but the client themselves. The real world function as Fikron's most important classroom. That speaks to the value of remaining genuinely open to learning from everyone you interact with. Not only those who are senior to you or more experienced, the people you serve can often teach you things that no structured course offer will.
Yes, and it all goes back to listening. Fikron said he learned to listen more. That is not a technical skill at all. It is a human one, and when you develop it, it improves everything else. Your communication, your ability to solve problems, and your relationship with people you work with. his client, in a way, taught him how to be a better professional and better person at the same time.
Exactly, and the big lesson from this part is that good work culture is not only about technical skills, it is also about how you think, how you listen, and how you keep growing as a person. The best professional never stop developing, not just as specialists, but as human beings. Okay, the fifth and final topic is perhaps the most practical one. I asked Fahry how he stays disciplined and avoids procrastination because as a freelance there is no manager, no supervisor, and no external structure telling you what to do or when to do it. You have to create all of that yourself. His system is straightforward but clearly effective. Every Monday he plans the entire week and writes down what needs to be accomplished each day. He then uses time blocking, which means every hour of his workday has a specific task assigned to it. He also sets his own personal deadlines, not just the one given by clients, because he has learned that without self-imposed deadlines, it becomes far too easy to delay. His most powerful daily tactic is to tackle the hardest task first thing in the morning, when mental energy is at peak. After completing the most difficult item, the rest of the day feels more manageable, and when he notices himself feeling stuck or unmotivated, he treats it as a signal that the task is either too large or not clearly defined. So he simply breaks it down into smaller steps until it feels easy enough to begin.
The time blocking method is one I have read about frequently but rarely see people executing with real consistency. Its primary value lies in eliminating what psychologists call decision fatigue, the mental drain caused by constantly choosing what to work on next. When your schedule is already structured hour by hour, you remove that repeated decision entirely, which preserves your cognitive energy for the actual work. Fahry system essentially removes one of the most commonly visible barriers to productivity.
The hardest task first. Ideas also makes a lot of sense. Most people do the opposite. They start with the easy things to warm up, and they run out of the energy before they get to the hardest one. But Fahry works on the most difficult task when he's fresh mind in the morning. After that, everything else feels easier. It is a simple habit, but it makes a big difference.
And the Monday planning habit, I think that's the foundation of everything else. When you start the week with a clear plan, every day has direction, you know what you need to do and when. Why? That reduces the uncertainty that often leads to procrastination in the first place.
The insight that resonated with me most strongly is his reframing of procrastination. Rather than treating it as a character flaw, a sign of laziness or lack of willpower, Fahry interprets it as useful information. When he feels stuck, he asks himself what the signal is telling him about the task. Is it too fetching? Is it too overwhelming? Once he identifies and corrects the problem at the task level, the procrastination tends to resolve itself. That is remarkably healthy and constructive way to think about one of the most universal obstacles to getting things done.
Right, and that approach is also protect your confidence and motivation over time. Instead of blaming yourself for not getting started, you focus on understanding the task better. That shifts your energy from self-criticism to problem solving, and it probably one of the main reasons Fahry can stay consistent over the long run. He is not draining himself with guilt.
Okay, and I want to emphasize the significance of his self-imposed deadlines. I agree many people only experience urgency when external pressure forces it upon them, but Fahry has internalized that accountability. He creates his own standards, his own timelines, and his own sense of professional responsibility. Entirely independent of what a client or employer demands, the distinction between someone who needs to be managed and someone who is genuinely self-directed is This is one of the most important marks of professional maturity, and for a freelance, it is not optional, is it? It is the job.
Alright everyone, we have gone through all 5 topics from Akmal's interview with Fikru. It has been really good discussion. Before we finish, I want each of us to share the one thing we are taking away from today. What is the most important lesson for you personally? Dzaky, you go first. Dzaky.
Okay, for me, it's the mindset shift from I write code to I solve problem. That idea applies to any job, not just technology. Whether your role is always think first at what the problem you're solving for other. When you lead with that, everything about how you approach your work changes for the better.
Okay, for me, mine is Fikrun's reframing of procrastination as a cycle rather than a flaw. The idea that feeling stuck is information. The task itself might be the problem, not your willpower. It's genuinely liberating. It redirects your energy away from self-blame and toward solving the real problem, the real issue. I intend to start applying that this week.
For me, the biggest lesson is about reputation as a strategy. Frequent does not have a big budget or a large team. His greater asset is being someone that people trust, and anyone can do that. To show up, be honest, communicate clearly, and deliver what you promise. It sounds simple, but it is very powerful.
I'm taking away to closely connected lesson. That rest is not a reward for completing work, but a prerequisite for doing it well. And that communicating your limits clearly is not a sign of weakness, but of professionalism. Both of the ideas share some deeply rooted assumption about what it means to be a dedicated and hardworking person. And I think they are worth reflecting on seriously.
For me personally, as the one who conducted the interview, the biggest takeaway is the demand-driven learning approach. I used it to feel like I needed to learn every new technology, but Fikrun reminded me that it is smarter to let real-world needs with what I prioritize. That makes learning feel much more purposeful and a lot less overwhelming.
And for me, the word that captures everything we discussed today is intentionally every aspect of Fikrun's personal life. How he markets himself, how he learns, how he rests, how he plans his week is the result of conscious, deliberate choices. He did not drift into a good habit by accident. He thought carefully about what kind of professional he wanted to be and build. His work life around the vision, I think, is the deepest and most transferable lesson about work culture that we can take from his history, regardless of where we end up working.
So that was the end of the podcast. That's enough from us. Thanks for your attention. See you guys.